When it comes to fat loss, everyone knows you need to be in a calorie deficit. But here are 3 ways typically people use to create that calorie deficit. The first fairly common way to create a calorie deficit is through time restriction, also known as intermittent fasting. This is when people typically skip breakfast and have their first meal around noon, therefore limiting the amount of time that you can eat foods, therefore creating a calorie deficit that's needed for fat loss. Number 2 is food type restriction. And these are diets like paleo, vegan, or something like keto, where you're actually restricting an entire food group such as meat, fats, or carbs. And the big thing with a food type restriction is since you're reducing so much food that's out there, by default, you typically end up in a calorie deficit, helping you lose body fat. And lastly, number 3 is the food amount restriction. In this case, there's no time restriction, there's no food type restriction, but the amount of food that you can consume is being restricted. So that typically comes from tracking your calories, where you can fit in just about any foods you want, but you have to limit the amount you can have. So foods in moderation. But in reality, I think it's a good idea to probably have a combination of the 3. As far as time restriction goes, we already don't eat when we sleep, so we're already kind of practicing a form of fasting. As far as food type restriction, I don't want you to say foods are off limits, but definitely trying to limit or eliminate extra processed foods from our diet is probably a good idea. And lastly, the most efficient way to make sure you are in a calorie deficit is to actually track your intake and be aware of how many calories you're actually intaking to ensure you're in a calorie deficit if your goal is to lose body fat. If you want more helpful tips like this, make sure to drop me a follow. Stay tuned for more.